Hey guys, I'm here to talk about the Honda Trail 125 and how I've learned with more time with this bike that one of the keys to enjoying it and getting the most out of it is learning to love the quirks. Some of the unique things about this bike, particularly in terms of the ergonomics, when you first get it, might seem a little off. And in my previous video on this, it's on my page. If you want to check it out on the channel, um, some of my initial thoughts on this. Well, I still think they're valid comments. Having spent more time with the bike, there's a few things I learned that you just got to accept, and you'll start to enjoy riding the trail more. The All right, I'll say that the first one, which I talked about in the previous video, has to do with the wind. I mentioned how when you have this thing just new, if you don't install a windshield, you really get the wind really hits you in the chest pretty severely, especially at higher speeds, and it's still noticeable. But now that we're getting into the summer here, once the air is warm enough, where the air is consistently above 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'd say almost the warmer it is, the warmer your climate is, the less you're going to care about the severity of the wind hitting you here. It is still annoying at high speeds because it's pushing against you. It's a little distracting, but it's really at its worst in the spring and the winter, because you're getting hit with it so much. You get really cold. It's really cold to ride this. Again, if you install a windshield, which I still might do, it'd probably help a lot. But summer riding, or if you just have this bike and you're in Thailand, because that's where they make this thing anyway, and it's just cozy and things are sweet and warm all the time, then getting hit with the wind here is not going to bother you nearly as much. Now that it's summertime, I'm barely thinking about it anymore, unless I happen to get it, unless the wind itself, absent just me driving this thing, unless the wind itself happens to be coming at me in the wrong direction, meaning that I'm getting hit by it and it's slowing me down, I don't really notice the wind nearly as much anymore. So my wind complaint in the previous video, I'd say, is very specific to the season. Or if you live somewhere where the climate's cold all the time, it's probably going to bother you a lot more. In the summer, not so much. It actually feels good to a degree, because it cools you down. But that's all. All motorcycles are like that. But on this one particularly, as soon as it warms up, that's much less of a complaint. The second comment I had in my previous video on this had to do with, I was kind of getting nitpicky about the position of my foot, and I said previously I wanted this to move it up here, but I realized I was being a stickler and was trying to toe shift, right? I was trying to toe shift up. I was doing this shit, down, up. I was thinking I was going to ride this doing toe shifting, and the position of this is made for one thing only. It's made for you to smack it. This thing is positioned and made for heel shifting, meaning shifting the gear up by hitting this in the back. Don't even literally, don't bother toe shifting on this. This Trail 125 and the Cub bikes, this semi-auto shift system is not made for you to go like this. It's not. This bike by design wants you to jam it with your heel. So I'm just telling you, I'm saving y'all a bunch of trouble. Don't even bother trying to toe shift. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not made for you to do it. Just accept the fact that this thing wants you to bop it. This thing wants to be smacked. It wants to go hit 8 miles per hour, boom. Hit 18 miles per hour, boom. Hit 25, boom. Now you're in fourth gear. You're just to go ba 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 ba. Again, ba 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 ba, and then you're slowing down. Okay, chunk, and then again you're gonna smack it. So don't even. That's what I learned. This is one of the quirks of this bike. It's a Cub. This is a Cub bike. It's the Hunter Cub in Japan. Don't bother toe shifting. Yeah, I mean you're gonna shift down, But in terms of shifting up the gears, don't waste your time with your toes. Just smack it with your heel. It's made for this. This bike is made for people to be wearing sandals and using their heels, not their toes. Those are two things in this. There. One thing I actually wanted to praise this bike on is the tires. The tires are actually good. They are very grippy, and this is a kind of a dual comment. I took this on my first long distance trip, about 70 miles out, 70 miles back. And when I was on the way back, I got caught in a really bad lightning storm. Started driving back north. All of a sudden, I look up it was night. It was already night. It was like 9. I left at 9:30, and it was already dark. So I'm driving, and in the distance, I see a flash, and I'm like, oh, I hope that somebody's shooting off fireworks. But it wasn't. It was lightning in the distance I was driving, and I was gonna have to go through no matter what. And man, it was a lot of wind and a lot of rain hitting pretty hard. I was lucky it wasn't hail because it was close. The rain was really cold, and it was lightning everywhere as I was driving north. And I was on the Parkway, and this thing keeps up. This thing it tops up at, if you're on flat ground or slight downgrade, you can comfortably cruise between 60 and 65. So it keeps up on the Parkway. It's fine. You ride at the speed limit. You drive responsibly to the side, no problem. But when I was on the Parkway at night, dark to begin with, really bad storm, tons of rain. I was getting pounded going north, and I think I was on. I had to get over the Raritan River, over that bridge with lightning flashing everywhere in the rain in this thing, and the ground was really wet, really slick, and I was able to maintain speed on this bike, and these tires gripped really, really well. If God forbid I was on a Honda Navi and that I'd be dead. These tires are great if you're going to get caught in a storm. I did not know I needed these tires until I was in that mess. These things held really, really well in pretty solid rain coming at an angle. My arm got sunburned, and this cold rain was hitting my sunburn. I did have to take shelter at one point. But I went to luckily there was a rest stop around like the 1:30s, and it took me like a half-hour break. I went in the bathroom. Luckily I had a change of clothes and a long-sleeve shirt that I brought for the beach I didn't use, and it was still dry. So I put that on under my wet clothes, and that protected my arms, and it warmed me up. I thought I was gonna get hypothermia. I was so cold from the rain. But I drove the rest of the way to exit 140, and then got off because the secret sauce is, you don't have to pay tolls on the Parkway if you know where to get on and off. So it got me there. It got me through that storm. I had to get through about 30 exits going north, and I got through the storm, and these tires, they got me right through that and got me right back on the routes, so I could make my way back to where I needed to be. But let me tell you, these tires, it's a trail bike, and these tires are fantastic for water. And as many of you know, this is actually meant to go in water. This is why the air intake's here, because you can go in the water all the way up to here. I mean, I probably still wouldn't want to do it, but you can do it. This bike it literally goes in water. But it got me home safe, and if I was on a different bike, I would have probably been. Well, I mean, I was nervous. I'll be honest. The storm was actually the rain was pretty harsh, and there was a lot of lightning. But if I was on a different bike, I probably would have been even more scared, and might have even chickened out and like hid under an underpass or something. But this thing was gripping so well, I had the confidence I could maintain. The cars slowed down too, so everyone was going like 50 miles per hour. But I was confident this thing was the solid footing in harsh rain, and I was able to get to a rest area instead, and get a coffee and change my clothes. And I might not have been able to do that if I was on a different bike or a road bike. So that was a hidden perk of this that I didn't know I was gonna need or appreciate. I'm really glad I got this bike. That was the moment I was like, I got the right bike. And then my fourth comment on this is I'd only really rode this pretty local and a lot of stop and go initially for the first 150 miles I had for the bike. And having taken it now far away, it's really nice when you're on, on the routes or on a parkway. You can't take it on the interstate. It's a little, people drive nuts on the interstate, but it's nice when you're on a road or you're just staying fourth gear the whole time, and you keep it nice and steady between 50 and 65 as you're going, and you stay out of the way of everybody else, and you just cruise. It's great. It's really it's easy to do, and the efficiency of the engine's great. So you're not wasting gas. If I didn't start full when I went down south, but I don't know if I could have made a round trip. It was like 70 there, 70 back. I probably would have been able to make it almost all the way back and would have had to put in gas again if I had topped it off before I started south. But I rode it. It was almost full. I rode it down to like 2 bars left, and then I filled it up again on the way back. But it's really efficient. And on a different motorcycle, I would have had to fill up. I mean, well, I probably would have had to fill up either way, but the amount I would have been filling up, we're talking gallons worth of a difference. This thing I'm ringing it out when I'm doing the distance on the parkway. So, am I getting 130, 140? The top of the top out of this? No, because I'm too wide open throttle all the time. So I'm getting 110, probably 110 miles to the gallon, maybe 105, 100 to 110 is what I'd say, because I'm opening it up too much on the highway, or the parkway, or whatever. But that's fantastic, right? Because 100 miles to the gallon. I mean, if you were to only ever drive this 125 miles per hour, then you probably would get 135 miles to the gallon on it. But I'm taking it all over the place. But yeah, no, it's great. It's great to know that you just fill this thing up, and within, anything within 120 miles of you, maybe 130 miles of you don't have to. You're gonna get there. Just drive there, because this thing is gonna get you there. It's that efficient. It's fantastic. What a great efficient engine this thing is. Kudos to Honda for making it, and please make it even more efficient. This 125 is such a great little engine, and the fact that it hits 65 miles per hour, not always, I mean on a downhill, is great because it's just enough. It's just enough. If Honda could somehow manage to keep it 125 cc's and make it go even faster, holy smokes, that would be awesome. That would be amazing. But yeah, it's a great engine. I mean, obviously, I mentioned in the previous video, if this was maybe 5 pounds lighter, 10 pounds lighter, I do appreciate. This isn't a full correction of my comment. I do feel like it's still a tiny bit too heavy, but it did feel nice and solid when I was in that storm. The weight of this was okay. It gives it a center of gravity that I appreciate at high speeds, and when it was rainy like that, even more so. I do think it could lose 5 pounds, just because I just feel like it's just a tiny bit too heavy, and if it was that a little bit less heavy, maybe I'd be able to get even more mileage out of it, which would be pretty cool. But we can't have everything now, can we? I don't know what to do about if I want the front carrier. I don't know if I want the middle carrier. I do probably want a windshield at some point because I don't want to have to be freezing when it's October again. But man, this is such a good looking bike. It's awesome. When you ride this bike, it's similar to the Navi in the fact that just like with the Honda Navi, it's something kind of cute about it. And there's something also kind of awesome about it. Like the Honda Navi is awesome because you have the cute, like the cool little storage thing, and it's like, you know, I had the lime green. I think the lime green is people knock it. Oh, look, it's the Ryobi, like Home Depot, but the Honda Navi was really cute and just fun. And people just smile when they look at it. And the same thing with this one. I think the trail in yellow, this bike, it just looks so good in yellow. Like I saw the red again, and the red is thumbs down, man. I mean, the red looks cool, but man, does the yellow look good on this thing. The green is cool. I would say my choice is yellow first, the military green second. Military green is dope. It really is a dope color. I don't want to knock that one. I think yellow and green are real close. But I think this yellow is just, it looks so good because of the blacks. And I love that it's not like a cheap yellow. It's like this kind of like almost, it's gold orange. It's gold orange yellow. It's not just yellow. Oh, it's so good. It looks so good. I always catch people like when I'm in waiting for the light. I'm sure other people who have this bike could say the same thing. You at the Navi, I got it sometimes too, but you can always feel like the eyes in the back of your head when you're at a light, when you're on this bike every once in a while, because I can always feel someone's like checking this bike out whenever I'm stopped at a light. And a lot of times, like, I can feel the eyes in the back of my head, and I'll do a quick look around because I get a vibe of like who's looking at me, and then I'll look at them and they'll look at me and they'll be like, and then I'll give them the thumbs up. Give them the thumbs up. And I say cowabunga, and they just crack up because they know this bike's awesome. They know it's fun. They want it too. If you're watching this, you probably want it too. That's why you might have actually watched this entire thing. And if you did, good for you. Get the bike. It's great. I don't regret it. I did have a little wobbly vibes on when I bought it. That's why I said caveat emptor in the previous video's title, because it is quirky. It's a quirky bike. It's unique. It's a Cub. It's a Cub that has been tweaked to do other stuff. And the Cub's great. Thus, this bike is great. And I'm glad I got this one and not the Super Cub. And initially I thought maybe I should have gotten the Super Cub because like the Super Cub has the wind protection here, right? And then the Super Cub, it's more pedestrian. The footprint's a little smaller. And the other thing I noticed, when I was in Japan a few weeks ago, the Cub, the regular Super Cub in Japan, it comes standard with a luggage rack in Japan. And I was like, we're getting gypped in the United States with the Super Cub because we're paying in dollars. They're not, and they're getting... Now, the luggage rack that comes standard on the Super Cub in Japan, the footprint is more like, it's like here, to here, to here, to here, and it does have a little thing here, but it's pretty sizable. The default, it's like a silver color. But they get a default rack on the Super Cub in Japan. We don't. And if it was standard here in the States, I might have gotten the Super Cub instead. If it had come standard with a rack here, I might have leaned that way. But now that I have this, I'm pretty glad that I got this. After driving in the rain and how good this thing's footing was, if I was on the Super Cub, I would have been scared out of my mind because that has road tires. And I would have been really nervous about sliding out. But this thing, it can do rain. And it's hard to put a price on that until you're stuck in it. And you're too far from home, and it's too late at night, and there's no place you can go without bothering somebody. this bike will get you home, and it's hard to put a price on that. It got me through a storm, a real storm, for miles on the highway, and that's something. That's something that to count, because getting home is what matters, right? Having fun is 50%, and then getting home is what really matters. So this is great. You can use this to commute. It's not bad for touring. It would be nice if it was even more miles per gallon. But once you get going on this, it's a good bike for medium distance stuff. And because the efficiency of the engine, you can go even further if you want. And that's one of the reasons I bought it. One of the things that pushed me over to say goodbye to the Navi, which is really hard to do because I love Navi. The thing that was bothering the most about the Navi was that I couldn't really do medium distance on it. Nothing beats the Navi for just bopping around and taking care of chores, going to the supermarket, filling up that compartment with a gallon of milk and a loaf of bread and some yogurt, filling up with beer cans. That was so great. I mean, any life under 50 miles per hour, you can't beat the Honda Navi, but anything, but if you want to go some distance, the truth is the Honda Navi doesn't get the advertised 110 miles per gallon. The Honda Navi gets 70 miles per gallon and you have a 0.9 gallon tank. So, I mean, you either strap gasoline canisters to it, or you accept the fact that you're gonna have to stop a bunch to get gasoline on it. But also, when you go wide open throttle with the Navi, it just destroyed your miles per gallon is even worse. It's got to be like 50 miles per gallon and that thing's wide open throttle. So it's just not good. You can't comfortably do touring to even a small degree on the Navi. I mean, you can, and I mean you can do it, but you're going to be annoyed by the fact that you can't go over 50 miles per hour. You're going to be annoyed that you have to stop all the time on it. It's still great, but it wasn't pleasurable when I did it 2 years ago, and it was one of the things that was nagging me, and this bike solved that. So this bike's enough. It might be enough. Would I like a little more speed? Yes, but it's not as bad as the Navi bothered me, because the Navi, when you're going uphill, you were really out of luck. This thing you'll be able to keep up with traffic in all situations, even on the highway. You couldn't do that with the Navi. You can keep up on hills. It's still 125. You're going up a hill, you're still tapped out. You're not going to be able to maintain speed like the other vehicles will, or a bigger engine bike would. But it's not nearly as bad as the Navi in terms of the hill stuff. And same thing on the highway. So keep that in mind. If that's what's bothering you with the Navi, the Trail 125 could be a good choice, or the XR 150L. That was the other one I was thinking of with this. It was either this or the XR 150L. I am glad I got this, because the superior miles per gallon that this is going to give you is better than the additional speed that the XR 150L, it's a 150cc, so you're going to get real speed on that. I probably, I'm not heavy. I'd probably be getting 70 miles per hour speed on that. Now that other bike, I'm not knocking the 150L. The 150L has a way more comfortable seat than this. You also ride a little higher. At first, when I first saw this, I wasn't sure whether I felt like the seat was high or low. The truth is, the seat is still pretty low to the ground, but because of the way you ride it, because of the way you sit on it, now I'm up on the middle stand. Because you ride on it like this, though, it's kind of dorky, right? That's just my fault. But because of the way you ride on it, you feel up like you're up higher than you actually are. You're not that high off. Your tuchus is not that high off the ground, but that's what it is. So those are my thoughts this time on the bike. If I have more enlightenment as I ride it, I'll update. But yeah, if you're considering the Trail 125, watch my previous video and then watch this one. And I hope both of them are informational and potentially help you decide whether you want this bike, whether it's too unique and some of the stuff I mentioned might bother you, or whether you, like me, are willing to take a chance on it and accept the quirks for what they are, whether it's the shifting, the handlebar shape, or the seat, the speed limitations, whether it's enough or not, it can depend on the use case. But this bike has a lot to give, and you might not know that this was actually the bike you needed until you have it. And that's a credit to the bike, because there's more engineered in here than you might be using day to day when you have it. But when you suddenly find yourself in a situation that this thing was spec'd for because it's a trail, you're going to be like, oh, this just saved my butt and I bought the right bike. And that's a real credit to the engineers, Honda, when they made this, and something to think about. Thank you for watching. If you watched this to the end, I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you'd like. That'd be really appreciated by me. And I hope you enjoyed this. And please take care. Everybody, wishing everybody the best. If you have a motorcycle, please drive safe and enjoy. And if you don't, consider it. But it's always safety first. All right, best to everybody.